Microsoft just released a brand new update that brings some new features to modern controls and really brings them in line with some of the classic controls that we previously had. It seems like I've been making these update videos for the past few weeks, and it just so happens that as I'm recording other videos, I notice these changes that Microsoft has put in, whether it's the combo box now being properly searchable, or having a clear selection button, the date picker having a start and end date option now, the text input having an on-select property, the tab list having some new layout options. We have a lot of great things that we'll be able to use in our Power Apps toolbox. So let's take a first look at the new modern controls in 2026. Channel members have access to download the apps used in the videos, as well as the YAML code used in the components that I showcase. You can click the join button below the video if you're interested in supporting the channel. The combo box is a sore spot for many people, I think, and for those of you that have a love-hate relationship with this control, I think you'll like today's video. We'll start by inserting the control onto our screen, and before we dive into any of the property changes, let's just right-click on this and look at the code behind the combo box. Here we can see the control type is Modern Combo Box, and it's version 1.0. If we flip over to a previous version and we look at the combo box control there, we can see that the combo box previously showed up as just a combo box with the version as 0.0.51. So we got upgraded to version 1.0.0 of the modern combo box. Now, along with this change, you'll see some major changes to the properties of the control. So over on the right, we have our normal data source that we previously had, but we get this new option for depends on. So if you're familiar with the classic controls, you'll know that we could create dependent dropdowns and combo boxes simply through this menu. We also get a property for item label text. So this appears to be what actually shows up as the label when you're looking at any of the items in the combo box. Now under general, we can see the default selected item property is exposed, so we can set that directly through here. We don't have to go through the advanced tab anymore. This still appears to take either a record or an entire table if you have a multi-select combo box. So here, if we add the first item from our combo box sample, we can see item 1 gets selected, or we could add the entire combo box sample and then all of the items get selected. So with something like a multi-choice column in SharePoint or Dataverse, you could provide this property either a record or a table value, and that would show up as the default selected item. Continuing down the properties, you can see we have these strange indicators for allow multiple selections and allow searching. So these were properties that we had before, but now if they're filled in with this gray color, that means the selection is enabled, or if it's white or empty, then that option is set to false. None of this seems super crazy so far, but the magic comes in when we look at what's actually been fixed with the combo box. Last year I made a video looking at the status of the modern controls as we started 2025. And in that video, one of the things that I mentioned is that you can't actually clear the selection of the combo box without using some sort of workaround. I am very happy to tell you today that we now have a way to clear the selection within the combo box. So if I select our dropdown, we can see the dropdown chevron is actually replaced with a dismiss button, and clicking that button will deselect the currently selected item. If we toggle the allow multiple selection, that same option will deselect all of the items within the combo box. So we no longer have to reset our combo box using an extra button or some sort of external workaround. One of the other issues with the modern combo box was that we couldn't search large data sources reliably because things like the search text in the combo box had no way of being cleared after an item was searched for. So if you returned to the combo box after searching something, your search text would still be there. Let's connect this combo box to a data source, and we'll switch out our references here, first to the title column as the display text. So this is simply counting up to 999, and we can see that the combo box is only pulling in 500 records. In our items property, let's try filtering this data source using the starts with function where the title starts with self.search text. This is a very common pattern that you would see in combo boxes. So we can search for an item here, such as 900, which is well over our 500 records that we saw by default. And we can see when I click back into the combo box, my original search has been cleared, and I'm free to search for another item immediately. You can see the current selection also shows up below my 500 records. So the combo box kept the context of which selection I had made, whereas before it would have lost the context of that selected record and deselected the record automatically. Here we can search for a brand new record, make that selection, and again, if we go back into the combo box, we're ready to search for a new item. Now, you may have watched a video previously on the channel where we tried to work around the inability to search for multiple items in the combo box and make multiple selections. If you remember from that video, every time we searched for an item, the previous selection that we had made would get cleared. But now we know that the combo box is keeping the context of which item we had selected. So if I had 501 selected there, and I search for 900, now we can see that we have both 501 and 900 selected. I can search for another item. Again, this is searching our SharePoint list using the filter of our search text, and we can see all three of those items are selected. This is fantastic to see because we had to create a workaround using collections in order to store the context of which items we had selected. In this case, it's keeping the context of that and works pretty much as you would expect. If you're enjoying this video and you want to stay up to date with all the new features coming to Power Apps, get subscribed and don't miss out on future videos like this one. Now that's the modern combo box, but I do want to point out some other changes that happened to some of our other modern controls. Let's go ahead and insert a text control. And you can see this looks a little bit different than what we're used to as well. We can look at the version of this using view code, and we can see that, again, this is set to our modern text input version 1.0.0. There seems to be some sort of shift in our modern controls here, and you can see some of the options in the control bring this more in line with our classic controls that we previously had. So things like a max length option that we didn't previously have with the modern text input, and some more streamlined style and theming options that we saw with the combo box. One thing you'll also notice as I've been inserting these controls, they no longer have canvas in the name, whereas before this would have been combo box canvas 2, or this would have been text input canvas 3. These are now more in line with the default naming for the classic controls. The text input now also has an onSelect property in addition to the onChange property that it previously had. We can insert our text control, and you can see this looks a little different as well. If we view the code for this one got switched over to modern text version 1.0.0, and we can just see some reorganization of the different properties inside of the text control. Some differences as opposed to the previous modern text control is that we have some default padding set now. And then things like our font size are set to 15 instead of 14 by default, and the vertical alignment is set to middle instead of top. The text control also has an onSelect property, which we previously didn't have before. The modern date picker control also received a similar facelift where we now have some streamlined styling and theming options and some of the reorganization of our properties here. We also get some new properties like start date and end date. So it looks like we can now determine a range of dates that our date picker has to stay within. So in this case, I can't go before January 1st of 2026, or if I set the end date to February of this year, I can't go past that end date either. So you can see we can lock in our date picker control to specific dates rather than just leaving them open for any date to be selected. The tab list control also got updated. So we see some of the similar properties that we saw with the combo box carried over to the tab list now. So we can set the item label text based on a column in the item's property of this control. We can set the default value from here, but maybe more importantly is we get some extra options for the appearance. So the default is transparent, where we can see the normal tab list behavior that we're used to, or if we switch this to subtle, we can see we get a hover effect telling us which item we're hovering over. We have subtle circular, which is this more pill-shaped tab list, and then filled circular, which just fills in the selection. The number input control didn't really get too many changes here, really just the streamlined properties, And we had most of these, default min and max and step properties previously. The radio buttons or radio group get the same items treatment as we saw with the combo box and the tab list, where we can define the data source, but also the specific item label text. And we still get similar options like the layout here, but we get a very expanded range of styling options for the radios. So we can define things like the color as well as the border colors, the fill colors. We get new properties for the disabled colors. And then we have the ability to change things like the text color and text fill of the accompanying text within the radio group. So very cool to see there. So there you have it. We have a pretty large update to the modern controls here, and really these bring a great deal of the functionality that people have been missing compared to the classic controls. These new updates are available in this version shown on screen or later, so if you want to try these out, be sure to switch to this authoring version so that you see the new updates in your app. This may be rolling out by region, so if you don't see it yet, you'll probably see it shortly. I went through the other controls as well, and I unfortunately didn't see any other ones that had been updated to that new version, but this is probably something that they'll be working through over the coming weeks to get all of those controls updated to the new version and add those new properties that we saw today. This is very exciting news and definitely a step forward for Power Apps to bring these new features to modern controls and bring them more in line with the classic controls that we previously had. Let me know your thoughts on these updates in the comments below, and let me know if I missed any controls that were updated to the new version. I hope you enjoyed this first look at the new modern controls in Power Apps, and I hope you have a great day.